Okay, so let's talk a little bit about brisket. You know, I live in the Northeast. It's really, really hard to get a Texas style brisket here that's not like a fortune. This is a decent brisket though. It's got a decent amount of fat on it, but it is, you see there's some fat on the bottom there. It looks pretty good. And you know, it's, you know, a little more than 8 pounds, $61. That's really not unreasonable. I know other stores, you know, it's a lot higher. So Corrado's is a good value for buying a brisket. And again, you know, this recipe did call for a 4-pound brisket. I've got, you know, a little more than double that. But we're gonna do the best we can. I didn't quite double the brine, you know, the salt, but I added, you know, maybe 50% more. And we're going to let this soak in that brining solution for about a week. Then we're going to desalinate it for 8 hours. We're going to let it soak in fresh water for 8 hours. Then we're going to cover it with the pastrami rub and smoke it for 6 hours. Okay, so I do have a confession to make. I did decide, after all, to double the salt. Since the meat is double the weight, I did double the salt and I doubled the Prague powder. And I added about 4 tablespoons of this pickling spice. I didn't feel like making my own on my first try. Maybe in the future I will make my own pickling spice. So that's it. So I did double the salt and I did double the Prague powder because I have double the meat. Normally what I do is heat the water up, bring it to a boil, and then dissolve the salt and whatever I'm curing. In this case, I just put the distilled water in at room temperature and I just stirred it up until it's all dissolved. So now, one more thing. This is the Prague powder. I did get it online, and it's got sodium nitrite, and it's pink, so you don't confuse it with regular table salt, because, you know, in high doses, this could be toxic. But again, for 8 pounds of meat, 4 teaspoons isn't gonna really matter, but it is a curing agent, and it's gonna give the corned beef, which is the first step of this process, that nice pink color. Over and out. Okay, so now I'm gonna get this into a bag, like a 3-gallon bag, and then into the cooler with ice, because it's not going to fit in my fridge. All right, so now I've taken the brisket out of the wrapper and I've rinsed off the blood that was in there. You see how there's a layer of fat here, but then it's trimmed here, and you see on the bottom it's all trimmed. This is not ideal for like Texas barbecue brisket, but I think it's going to be fine for pastrami because, again, it's cured. And you notice also the price, right? This is almost a 9-pound brisket. I got it for about $60. I have seen, like at Stu Leonard's, briskets that have more fat on them, but they're like over $200. You know, I'm not going to spend $200 on a brisket. So, you know, maybe the move is to move to Texas. I don't know. Okay, so what I have here is a 2.5-gallon bag. So I'm going to fit this brisket, which is, you know, just about 8 pounds. I'm going to fit this brisket into this 2.5-gallon bag. And then I'm going to pour the brine into it. So here we go. Okay, so I'll probably do the pouring of the brine in the cooler so I could stand this thing up and do it, you know, otherwise it's a 2-man job. So I'm going to take it outside to the cooler, pour the brine inside. So after having cured the brisket for about a week, I snipped off a little end and I made a corned beef just to taste it, to see what homemade corned beef tasted like. And it was truly amazing. Unfortunately, I forgot to video some of it, so that's why you have this little section here. All right, This is what's a little bit left of a little end of the corned beef that I made. The rest is curing in the fridge as pastrami, but I boiled this up as corned beef. And then I made this lovely Reuben, and I gotta tell you, this is probably the best Reuben I've ever had. So this is stage one. It's just the corned beef, I just boiled it. But stage two, the pastrami, is in the fridge, and later I'm gonna throw that out on the smoker, and then we're gonna have homemade pastrami. Oh my God, this is fantastic. Okay, so here is the pastrami. It's been in that rub for a couple of days, and you see there's the egg with some smoke coming out of it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put that on another rack. Let's do it together, okay? Hey. I'm gonna put this rack down just like that, right? And I'm gonna put that pan, wow, I'm probably getting you all dizzy, huh? I'm gonna put that pan in that rack, and this is fat side up, right? So that's the brisket. I cut a little piece off. I did corned beef with it. This is fat side up, all rubbed both sides. It's sat in the brine for 7 days, and now we got smoke. We're gonna set it. And forget it. It's gonna smoke overnight. I know they say 6 hours. I'm gonna do it low and slow. So here we go. So basically, this is a regular brisket, except that I brined it like a corned beef, right? It's essentially a corned beef. And then I rubbed it with the pastrami rub and let it sit for a couple of days. So, but I'm gonna smoke it the same exact way that I would do a regular Texas brisket, which is different spices, different cure. So this is gonna be amazing. In a couple of minutes, you see the temperature is low. In a couple of minutes, I'm gonna shut the vents though, and then I'm gonna keep watch until that temperature reaches, I don't know, 200. And then I'm gonna shut my vents and keep it at 200 overnight. Okay, see, we're just at 150. I put the lid on. Let's make sure that, okay, the lid's on, and I have it open just a little bit. All right, I'm gonna come back in 15 minutes, check the temperature again, and adjust that opening. I wanna keep it around 200, and then we're gonna be good. Alrighty, I'm here, just under 200. I'll come out in about a half an hour and see if it's gone above 200. And if it hasn't, I'm gonna leave it right where it is. If it has, I'm gonna close it just a crack more. Alrighty, so it's morning time. You see what I did? I opened the vents up all the way. I'm raising up that temperature, so it's just about 300. And if you look inside, it looks nice. Well, we're gonna get a lot of steam on that. But I'm gonna cook it at about 300, just under 350 for a little while, you know, maybe half an hour or so. And then I'm gonna take it in and let it rest. All right, so it came off that grill and we sliced up a little bit. And I'm not saying it's cats as good, but I'm saying it's freaking awesome. And I'm gonna do it again and learn from this and do it better and better. And soon, not right away, but soon, it's gonna be cats as good. Okay, here's that pastrami. I found that it was a little bit salty, so I just steamed it a bit, and I took off some of the rub on the outside. It still has a wonderful flavor, and it's not as salty. So like I said, this is a work in progress. It's my first time ever doing it. I think it came out awesome. It's not Katz's, but then again, Katz has been doing it for over 100 years, and this is my very first time. I'm gonna get better at this. It's gonna be freaking awesome. Also, I understand why they charge $27 for a sandwich, considering that this entire brisket cost about $60 and it shrank quite a bit. And then again, there's the other process that goes into it. You know, the waiting, the salt, everything else. So it makes sense that they have to charge a lot for a sandwich, but it's worth it. Pastrami on rye. I'm not even going to put any mustard. Well, I might put mustard on mine, but I'm not going to force others to do it. That's it, man.